Hello everyone, welcome to my introduction to sociology final presentation. Today I will give a sociological analysis of the 2023 Maui wildfires. Let's get started. Our current event or news story takes place in August of 2023, where the town of Lahaina, which is a town in Maui, Hawaii, was massacred by what was the most deadly wildfire in the United States in over a century. While the media only really sees this as a natural disaster, there's a lot more to this problem than you would think. Today you will get to look at the laws, the history, and the power dynamics that turned a spark into a literal disaster. As we progress in this presentation, you will notice how fascinating and disappointing this really is. Background and significance. The county of Maui noted that 86% of destroyed structures were homes, which is big because Lahaina is a working class hub in an otherwise tourism market. Lahaina already had a high social vulnerability index, or SVI, which an SVI is a lower SVI means that the population is less likely to have the support needed to recover without institutional help. Now you may take a look at this photo and wonder, why does the grass look like this? Well, according to the USDA, 25% of Hawaii's land is covered in this, or non-native fire-prone grasses. Looks pretty disturbing, am I right? What basically happened is that colonial-era plantations introduced these invasive grasses, and when the plantations closed and were abandoned, it left a powder keg that allowed fires to spread at 70 miles an hour due to dry vegetation. Chosen theory. I chose conflict theory as the best view, since we actually get to see who has the power, which is vital to this topic, which functionalists can't quite do, so that's why I picked conflict theory. In Maui, we get to see a struggle between indigenous water rights and wealthy land developers. The government of the state temporarily suspended water protections during the fire, which many argue favored commercial interests over the safety of the residents. Proposed research method. If I were to conduct primary research, I believe that using qualitative interviews with the affected residents is the way to go. Unlike surveys, which would only give us boring old numbers, there's actual emotion that can be recorded. Interviews in the situation would allow us to capture what it would be like in this disaster and how people are building new identities after such an event. You should take note that not everyone's going to be comfortable speaking, so you should have informed consent. Otherwise, there will be some controversy. Concept application. The first that we will use is social stratification. The fire revealed a hierarchy where renters and working class families were the most socially vulnerable. We also will use environmental racism. Minority neighborhoods often bear the brunt of poor land management and don't have the infrastructure like working sirens that are taken for granted by wealthier areas. Third is the social facts. The laws governing water diversion in Hawaii are social facts that exist outside the individual but do shape their survival. One of the bigger ones to note is the Thomas theorem, which basically is when someone perceives a situation and that is actually what happens, like later on. We happen to learn it in this class, and it applies here really well, because when Hawaii saw the situation as an emergency that demanded suspending the water rules, the consequences were actually real. Indigenous residents lost control of their resources during the thick of the crisis. The fifth concept that is being applied here is disaster capitalism. As Haunani K. Trask's work suggests, those who are in power often use the chaos of a disaster to push through with land grabbing that wouldn't be doable during regular life. I mean, seeing investors call devastated families to buy their land is a common example of the conflict between capital and human rights. Conclusion and future outlook. To conclude, the wildfires in Maui, Hawaii were a social disaster. Let's refrain from letting this happen in the future by addressing the iron cage of bureaucracy that slowed the response and returned power to local land managers. Otherwise, we might have to see gentrification by fire, where the working class is permanently displaced by those with the most capital. Thank you for tuning in. I wish you all a wonderful rest of your summer break and the best of luck in your future endeavors. Here's my works cited page as well. Alright, have a nice day.